Prueba.
Samo kava, Nutella muffin, huge cookie.
Kjer commit history, kaj si to programiral? Tegni, ali noge spustla, na razne dišiš, na razne dišiš, na razne dišiš, pritisni. Gremo gor. Lepa. Je bo izpihal začel.
Wow, this is completely crazy. I remember 6 years ago when we started WebSummit, just under 400 people showed up. Our main stage fitted about 180 people, which is about 2 or 3 of these front rows at the very front. We now have more than 53,000 people from 167 countries around the world. It's just thank you to all of those who've traveled from all corners of the world to be here this evening. Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah. I was saying backstage, this is like, I feel like we should be doing a routine or like Beyonce or something out here.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo!
next iPhone is going to be a clear iPhone with a 3D sensor that is so sensitive it can see your heart beating from about 3 feet away. It's so sensitive it can see how hard you are touching on a desk. And it can see the fibers in your jacket from 3 feet away, so it can check its authenticity from that distance. It's the same technology that's going to be running our self-driving cars, or very similar technology, and is already being used at Qualcomm in drones to see the world. We're heading into a mixed reality world, one where things like this Microsoft HoloLens are going to be very commonplace. This HoloLens has 4 sensors on the front of it that are looking at you right now and making a 3D map of this world and putting a virtual thing on top of this world. That's how it works.
It's amazing, the story of how you came up with the idea.
Well, look, I always, and I still do, I'm much to people's surprise, I'm very shy. And I started Tinder because I felt that myself and all my friends around us, we had trouble making that initial connection with someone that we wanted to meet. And I was in a coffee shop one day, and there was a girl across the room who I just really wanted to talk to. I mean, there was a connection, there was something that was telling me there's something amazing about her, and I'd love to meet her, but I didn't have the strength to walk over.
You're how old at
and
this
say
point?
hello. I'm 30.
No, when you see the girl in the coffee shop.
Oh, this was 4 now.
I mean, it may still happen, but...
And I think the realization I had then was, if you could eliminate that anxiety that I felt, and think about all the connections that can happen that would have never happened otherwise, I think it's foundationally can change the world. And that was the impetus of Tinder. It wasn't, you know, we've definitely, I would say, reimagined the way people meet.
Yep.
But it was really stemmed out of, I think, an anxiety and I think a problem that most people faced.
Shit's changing. Communication is changing. The attention of our consumer is changing. People are baffled by results of elections and business growth and turnouts like this, but I am not. Because for my whole life, since I was 6 years old, putting up signs on trees and poles to sell my lemonade, I've been day trading attention. We're living through, regardless of what the media or your social media tells you, we are living through the greatest era to be an entrepreneur or human ever. The day of advertising, stealing somebody's time, is over. That this is now the television, and the television is now the radio. And Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat are ABC, NBC, BBC, and Sky. And whether you're a startup or a B2B company or an entrepreneur or a corporation, you need to figure out how to make the best shows on those networks. Fear is not an option if you've raised your hand for entrepreneurship. Fear is not an option. I prefer to lose. I sometimes secretly hope that my companies go out of business to zero. I lose everything. All of you write things on social media that I actually sucked and was full of shit. And then in the dirt with the pain, I'm gonna rise like a fucking phoenix and kill all you motherfuckers. I mean it. Yeah. I mean it. If you do not have that or some version of that in your stomach, then find somebody to work for that does. Because we've lived through 7 to 8 unbelievable years of economic bliss. If you think this shit lasts forever, you're either super fucking young, clap it up for the youngsters one more time. They don't fucking know. They were like 7 the last time shit was bad. Or you forgot. You don't want to deal in reality. All my friends talking about all these changes and Brexit and presidential, you have to deal with the reality of the situation. Dwelling and pondering and crying doesn't do shit, and it especially doesn't do shit in this echo chamber. In this arena, there is no crying. You can cry, you're just going to lose. And I have bad news about complaining and crying. Let me tell you something about complaining and crying that's really, really going to hurt for all you complainers out there. Nobody gives a shit. And let me give you a preview who gives a shit. The following people give a shit when you complain. The other losers around you, your sick, broken parent that secretly wants to hold you down so that you're not more successful than them. And let me remind you one more time, the other fucking losers around you. If you can start figuring out what you're scared of, if you want to actually do something, even in the light of the picture that I'm painting right now, who are you scared to fail in front of? The reason so many of you are not doing what you want to do is you're scared to fail in some. You're scared that your brother will judge you, your wife, your girlfriend, your husband, and most scary, your mom or your dad. You need to eliminate that and/or own that fear and put yourself in a position to succeed. Because with all of this, we are now in the greatest era. For the first time ever, with no fucking money, with no goddamn connections, this can put you on the map. If you're good enough, if you are good enough to be up here, to make bling bling, if you are good enough, nobody's stopping you. Not fucking Donald Trump, not the fucking Russians, nobody. If you are a minority, if you are a female, if you are a transgender, if you're a fucking alien, the market doesn't give a fuck. If you make the best shit, you will win. Do you know how sucky it was to be a nerd 20 years ago? But now the market is rewarding fucking nerds, and now they're rock stars. A lot of people need to hear one of two things today, which is, this is the greatest era to ever be alive and be an entrepreneur or executive if you want it. And stop complaining and dwelling, because nobody gives a fuck. Thank you.
In Facebook or its subsidiaries, Instagram and WhatsApp. That company is a monstrous surveillance engine. It recognizes people in photos by their faces or even the backs of their heads. So if you post a photo where a certain person appears in Facebook or its subsidiaries, you are helping that company track that person. You're treating that person badly. Please don't do that to me. And by the way, I have never been a used of Facebook. I don't have a Facebook account. I hope you won't let Facebook use you either. People don't use Facebook, Facebook uses people.
Snemaš?
Ja.
Tukaj je izjemno lepo. Hvala kolega Marku, da mi je omogočil vso to podporo.
Ja, drugače bolj nič ne vidi.
Ljubite, zaljubite se Markota in vas bo pelal takole na take zadeve.